Hey, I'm Brian Scordata from Tacklebox, and yesterday I saw one of the best examples of business model innovation I have ever seen, so I figured I'd make a video about it. This is a tough one for me because I am a Nike guy. I've worn Nikes only since I was 10. I own way more pairs of Jordans than I'm comfortable admitting, and for the purposes of this video, I've run in the same model of Nikes, the Pegasus, for the last 10 years. I would never consider looking for any other type of running sneaker until yesterday. This video is about business model innovation, a type of innovation most people ignore in favor of product innovation, which is usually way, way harder. And counterintuitively, when you nail business model innovation, it's actually easier to get product and brand innovation as well as differentiation. So let's get into it. On Running is a brand you've probably noticed but might not recognize the name. They make this shoe, and anecdotally, it seems like it's been growing in New York City the past couple of years. I've thought of them as a yoga and running type of brand. Their shoes kind of unique, but I've never considered buying anything from them, and I never would. Until yesterday, when they launched the most innovative product I've maybe seen in my lifetime. It's a running shoe made out of 100% recyclable material, specifically castor beans, which I guess are beans. And this isn't the great thing about it. The innovative nature isn't that it's recyclable. These sweet Nikes I've got are too. It's that you pay $30 per month for these shoes, and every time you want a new pair, they send you one. You put your old shoes in the box from the new pair and send it back. You can do this as often as you like. It's like the Olive Garden breadsticks of shoes. A SaaS model, in this case shoes as a service, isn't revolutionary. Rent the Runway does this as well as many other companies in the industry. So what's up? To see why this is so good, let's start with the current customer decision process. These are running shoes, so let's look at how people buy running shoes. At a high level, there are two types of customers. Customers who buy the same pair every year, we'll call them rigid buyers like me, and then there are tinkerers, the early adopters of the running shoe world who buy different types of shoes all the time to test them out. They're the hub and spoke of customer acquisition for running shoes. When someone in their friend group needs a new pair of running shoes, they go to that hub and find out what the best pair is. The tinkerer in my group of friends actually pointed me to the Pegasus 10 years ago. But as a rigid buyer, which is myself and most of the customers in the industry, let's look at how I look at the world of running shoes. I see the Pegasus, which is the perfect shoe for me, and then I just see everything else. There are two categories. Other brands, I guess, are competing for that spot against the Pegasus, but it's very unlikely that I'm going to pick any of them out. Forever, On running shoes fell in that category. They never stood a chance until yesterday. Instead of trying to be the best running shoe out of an Everest-sized mountain of other running shoes, On is now the only running shoe that I could own monthly. I can try them for $30. They'll send me new pairs whenever I'd like, and this isn't going to be wasteful. In the words of Scott Galloway, you get all the great taste of the feeling of getting new shoes with none of the calories of feeling wasteful. This made me think, what do I actually look for in running shoes? Certainly I like to run and I like to not get hurt, but I also really like going out in a crisp white pair of running sneakers. It's now a decision for me. The beauty of an innovative business model, one that truly matches your product, is that it's going to permeate everything. How did I find out about these shoes? How did I not find out about these shoes? There was press everywhere about them. This is innovative. It's a $30 a month shoe. You can get unlimited shoes. This is kind of interesting. It's definitely worth writing about. I can't think of a single thing On Running could have done within the regular parameters of a shoe that would have gotten my attention until what they did yesterday. Lowering the price to get people in is the oldest trick in the DTC book. You probably got $15 off of your first purchase of a movement watch just by hearing me say that. But On Running isn't artificially lowering the price. That's their model, and it's going to be more profitable long term, hopefully. And growth? What is growth? Growth is a giant game of telephone. Runners talk to other runners. What's the holy grail for a brand? Your customers all saying the same exact thing about your product. That's how a message sticks and grows. If you ask 10 people why they like the Nike Pegasus, you'll probably get 10 different answers. If you ask 10 people about this shoe, the new On Running shoe, you're going to get the same response from everyone. They're $30 a month and I get as many as I want. Running is social. You're outside, you run with people, people see you. It's no accident these On shoes are the crispiest of crispy white. With that subscription, your shoes will stay that way. You'll always be the person in the new looking shoes in the park, and people will ask, what are those? Where'd you get them? And you'll tell them that soundbite. These are word of mouth monsters. On Running is betting that this will be memorable, that the next time you consider buying sneakers, you're going to pause and think, should I get sneakers or should I subscribe to sneakers? They've changed the parameters of the decision. Let's talk about their three big bets. On Running's first bet is that all running shoes are good enough already. The Brooks that you wear because they don't hurt your knees, you started wearing them 10 years ago and everyone else has caught up. People buy Kias because they're cheaper and there's no meaningful difference between a Kia and a Lexus anymore. It's not 1985. All cars are good enough. Their second bet is around jobs to be done. What's the job to be done for running sneakers? They're hoping that it's the feeling you get when you buy a new pair. It's that feeling when you go running with that fresh new pair of sneakers. But let's talk about the third bet, the risk. Does this all work for $30? Maybe the business model is risky. Do people actually want this? There's a quote by Mark Twain I love. He says, I've lived through some terrible things in my life, some of which have happened. What's risky for On Running would be not doing this. I have no insider info here, but this also just feels like a giant test to me. What I mean by that is I'm not even sure they've made these shoes yet. I'm not even sure they know how to. Let's look at the site. It's great, it's clever, it's well designed. They haven't put a ton of design resources behind it. And can you actually buy? No. You can pay $30 for your first month, which will be in fall 2021, which is a long time away. And what happens until then? From their site, basically a giant shrug emoji. This is a test. They're seeing how many people are actually willing to pay them $30, and I bet they've got some internal number they hit, and if they hit it, then they'll make the shoe. My guess is they're going to 10x that internal number, starting with the $30 I gave them yesterday. What's innovation? Innovation at its core is smashing two things together. Mark Merrill, founder of Riot Games, maker of League of Legends, came on the Tacklebox podcast idea to startup and talked about his innovation. It was similar to On Running's. He noticed that software as a service was a model that was working in software, but he wondered why it couldn't be applied to buying Madden. Why do you have to buy Madden every year? Why can't you make a video game that you keep forever and pay monthly? So how can you be innovative? You can smash stuff together. The best entrepreneurs at Tacklebox are the ones that have those wildly different Venn diagrams, who have worked in different industries, lived in different countries, can take one thing and port it to another place. If I were thinking up a business model or a business idea, that'd be my game. Think about something that worked really well somewhere else, and then think about another industry where there's no overlap and just bring it over. On Running shoes are priced more like Airtable or MailChimp than like running shoes, but how often do those two worlds overlap? Taking things from one industry and bringing them to another is a cheat code. Won't Nike just copy this? We'll end here because I think it's important. Can't other brands copy this? Yeah, sure, technically. There's a case in business school that always stood out in my mind. It was on Southwest, the airline. They started getting popular in the 90s or 2000s, and it was all because of their gimmicks. They had no first class. They only flew to select cities. They had their own terminals. They were quirky, all of that. They started making more money. So Delta and American and all those other people tried to copy them, but they just grabbed those features. They grabbed the seating, the no seating. They grabbed the select cities, but they weren't built for that. The infrastructure didn't lead to those product features. So they did just about everything that Southwest did, but they did it about 80% as well because their DNA, they weren't vertically aligned to build like Southwest. So what they ended up with was a crappy product. So unless companies go end to end here, it's going to be tough to copy. And for On Running, I'd absolutely lean all the way in and make this the vertical up and down the company so you can build around it. You can build processes to own this model. The takeaways. Business model innovation can drive product innovation, steal things that have worked in other industries, and as always, 99% of every bit of risk you see is in your head. Anyway, have a great weekend. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested. I'm going to do more of these. And if you're interested in starting a business or you're working on a startup idea, head over to gettacklebox.com and we'll set you up Our next cohort starts October 28th. Have a good weekend.